table, Carla Schneider. And Wubbanub, I love this name. I want to know the story behind little animals and a pacifier and how it came to be that you started this.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, you betcha.
It started 17 years ago after the birth of my son and the trying to find his pacifier all the time. He constantly...
Was he a colicky kid?
He was very colicky.
Okay,
yeah,
so
very colicky.
How many mothers haven't been there?
Exactly, and you want to always soothe your baby and keep them as calm as much as you possibly can. And he loved sucking on his pacifier. But the problem was every time he moved or he cried, it would roll from his mouth, and especially when I was driving. He was in the car seat, we'd pull out of the driveway, he'd cry a little bit, and boom, it was, you know, rolled into his lap or onto the floor.
I had twins, so I understand this. You're trying to keep them both happy at the same time.
Exactly.
And then once it comes out, we call them fa-fas.
Right,
Everybody has a name for these.
Right.
So as a mom, you're thinking what?
There has to be a better way. I wasn't a big fan of the cords and clips because the same thing, you know, even though it was clipped onto their shirt, if they cried, the pacifier would still fall out of the mouth and into the lap or on, who knows where, bounced onto the floor. So we were away on vacation and he was very colicky, and I said to my husband in the middle of the night, there has to be a way to keep this pacifier near him. So I was looking around the room. We were in a hotel room, and we did have one of his little stuffed toys with us on vacation. And I said, gee, if I could just attach this to the plush animal, I think I could lay it near him.
So out comes the sewing kit?
Out came the hotel, that little hotel sewing kit. Yep. And it was like 3 a.m. and my husband said...
So your hair was standing on end at this point,
my
right?
hair, my nerve, everything. And I turned the light on because we were all up anyway, and I sewed it on, and he was in a co-sleeper. He was near us, and I laid the Wubbanub near him, and he was able to suck on it, but yet turn his head away, come back and find it, because it didn't roll anywhere. It stayed put.
Interesting. So what did you sew to the pacifier? What was the little stuffed animal you had with you? What was it? It was
a smaller, kind of very similar to this. Oh, the first one animal was a dog.
It was a dog.
Yeah. And I used that to kind of prop the pacifier near him when we were in the car or something, and then that aha moment struck in the hotel room where I'm like, you know what? If I could just attach this somehow, then it would stay near him. So it worked great in the car seat, in the strollers, when I was holding him, I could lay the pacifier near him on my shoulder, and he could suck and turn his head away, and if he started fussing, he would find his way back to it.
How soon was it that you said, maybe I can build a business? You have a big business background?
I don't. I'm a former special education teacher. However, my mom has always been self-employed, so I've been in that environment. But truthfully, I was a new mom, and the thought of starting a business didn't even occur to me until people started saying, oh, where did you buy that? I would love to get one. And it was through the encouragement of my husband and my family that said, oh, you should do something with that. And I was opposed to it. I'm like, are you kidding me? I have a newborn.
Yeah, how am I going to build a business?
No sleep. Right. So
the first one that you started out on?
It was our red dog.
The red dog.
Yep.
How adorable is this? So you try to find a manufacturer. You get the dog. You have to make this safety approved.
Yes.
You have to. How long did it take you to do all of that to get the first one going?
It was about 1.5 years. I said, if I'm going to do this, then I want to at least apply for a patent. And so that's a process in itself, a lot of paperwork, a lot of
attorneys.
Back and forth attorneys, right? And it's a new venture, so I didn't really know a lot about it, so I had to self-educate as I traveled down this road.
And money. And,
right.
The money's rolling out, and is it going to come back?
Exactly. It was a lot to put out there, and you know, I had to take it in steps that we could handle, because I was still working another job. I had a newborn. We were looking for a new home. There was just a lot out there.
No stress at all.
Right. Right, exactly.
When did you, so you get how many of these to try, and how do you start peddling them to be the company that you are today in boutiques all over the United States? How do you become the salesperson?
Well, one day at a time you do that. Our first distribution channel was to hospitals, and it still is one of our distribution channels,
Makes
a main
sense.
one, right? Because as I took my son to doctor's appointments, some of the nurses would comment and doctors and say that would be great in the hospital NICUs or the well baby units, because this is a pacifier that they use in the hospitals. So I started there. I had a sales rep group that just went into hospitals and started selling them very slowly.
So now you're employing people.
Right, exactly.
What was the first big order? Do you remember?
I do remember it was through a catalog, and it was called the Paragon. Do you remember that catalog?
I do.
Yeah, that was my first big order. Yeah.
How many did they want?
They wanted 1,000.
Now that's another problem.
Yeah.
How am I going to make that many?
Right.
How am I going to get over that hurdle? So you
Right.
just went for it?
Right. My grandmother loaned me the money to do the initial order and to help defray some of the costs for the attorney fees for the patent. So that made me work harder, knowing that I had to pay her back. You know, at that point, there was no looking back or quitting. I graciously took the money and said, okay, we're going to make this work. So again, it was a lot of learning and not being afraid to ask a question. So the first order, there were monthly minimums, you know, quotas
Oh,
you had of
sure.
me, and it took me 3 years to sell our first order of Red Dogs.
Were you thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? Should I go backward? Yes, I have to pay people back. I mean, there are doubts along the way, yes?
There's always doubts, yeah, especially, you know, being a new mom too. It wasn't that time was free to me, or I had the freedom of, you know, I could work whenever I want and still get a decent amount of sleep at night. You know, I would work and know that the baby was going to be up at night. He was an infant. So that got trying at times, but through, you know, the support of my husband, he was very encouraging and helped out wherever he could. If I needed help in the business, he would step up and help me there. If I needed help with the kids, he would step up and help me there.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
Where did the name come from? And how many names did you try out before you got Wubbanub?
Wubbanub, you know, when we were trying to choose a name, I didn't want it to say binky or pacifier. I wanted it to be something like, oh, what is that? But I wanted it to be fun.
It's a fun word to say.
Yeah, it is. And there were other ones, but that one was the one that got the vote from us. And we were just playing with words, you know, and it just came together, Wubbanub, and I loved it.
So the big red dog, and then you expanded into how many animals now? We've got tigers, you've got new ones coming out,
Yeah,
bears.
we have 23 in our current line, and some of them are exclusives, like you can get at Amazon. Some retailers in Amazon have an exclusive design that you could only find there,
that's
like
this guy.
that one. Yep.
Okay.
And then we also have a licensing agreement with another company.
Listen to
and
you.
They have their 16 designs themselves, and they coexist. We sell
And these
to
are so soft.
Yep.
Tell me about, this one is a specialty one.
This one, right, we've been doing a lot of charity and donations to hospitals. Some of it driven from our own office, and others from parents who've had babies in the NICU that were very ill, and they wanted to pay back the hospital somehow, and fundraised monies to purchase Wubbanubs to say thank you back to the units that helped their child.
That speaks volumes for you. I'm sure that's not lost on you.
No, it's not. You know, it's not something we exploit on our website and, you know, want to take accolades for, but I look to the parents to think that they're paying it for through a very difficult time in their life.
Sure.
So we wanted to come up with a design and an animal that was just for that purpose.
And you came up
we
with a
came
teddy
up with
bear.
the teddy bear, yeah.
You have 3 new guys coming out.
3 new ones coming out this year. we listen to our consumers and get feedback from them. What styles would you like to see? And fox was a big one. A lot of people wanted to see the tiny fox. And the jungle styles always do well for us.
So elephants,
Elephant,
monkeys.
monkey. We have a very popular giraffe, the tiger, and we added a hippo to that
Of course you
line.
did. You're never going to run out of animals, it
No.
seems to me. The most popular animal that people love, you said the monkey?
Monkey's a top seller, absolutely. Yep, they all are, but the jungle theme is one of our top themes, yes.
You've been in business how long now?
16 years.
Looking back, are you still pinching yourself over what you've done? Because I'm going to assume you're profitable at this point. And going forward, are there different items you're going to branch out into, or are you going to stay with the pacifiers?
We're going to expand on the pacifier line just to keep it interesting and again, listen to consumer feedback. We like to do special ones like the reindeer for the holiday, bring them in and out in limited editions.
Always animals, though? You're never going to wane from that?
I would never say never.
See, this is a company secret. I can tell I got close to something, and good for you for not telling me.
But we're looking to grow the Wubbanub brand in stages so it grows with the baby. So when they're done using the infant pacifier, we want the next stage item for the one that fell in love with the character to be able to grow with it. And
Branding,
yeah.
very smart. You're not at liberty to say how you're going to do that? But
Not
we
yet.
Should
I
just
was
look for that.
Absolutely. This is a big year for us to do that.
Advice to somebody who's trying to be an innovator, an entrepreneur. What was the biggest pitfall, and what would you advise people to stay away from?
I would say take time for yourself. You know, if you run yourself into the ground, you're not going to be productive or clear in your thinking. And that was something I had to learn to do. It was okay to take a half hour, go to the yoga class, get my nails done, just so I could have that moment of clarity and feel re-energized. That's very hard to learn when you're self-employed and an entrepreneur because you always feel you're missing something.
Yeah.
So that, once I started doing that, it was an enhancement to my productivity and the way I ran the company. You know, I felt refreshed. I felt like I had a clearer head.
And how are you as a boss, do you think?
I think I'm great.
Because that's not that I mean, you can run a household, you can be a wife, a mother.
Yeah.
Being a boss is a whole different thing.
You know, I try to put myself in other people's shoes. My employees work very, very hard for me, and I want to show my appreciation for that. You know, we work as a team. It's not beyond me that if customer service department is getting crammed with phone calls, that I pick up the phone. It's okay if somebody needs a day off. You know, I always say to them, this is a job. You know, your family's first. You come in here at the end of the day, close the door, and tomorrow's a new day again. You know, I don't want anyone feeling stressed over a job, you know.
Well, Carla Schneider, you've hit it on the head. You sound like a wonderful boss.
Thank you.
And we'll be looking for what is next with all of these animals. And thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
When will this end? Who's this girl? Spend all night kissing and the bumper's right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked if I'm so wishing to find the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Need to keep locked in the grocery store, but mine just to save time. Skip right ahead to the last ride.